Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Coffee and Headlines, our morning get together live here on Facebook, where we examine headlines from our city, our state, and our country, and we take a look at some of the things that are in your minds, on your minds, on your minds, or in your minds. Things that you're thinking of as far as Puerto Vallarta is concerned, how to best enjoy the city, how to best connect with it, and how to have an amazing life here in Puerto Vallarta as a community of English speaking locals. Two apologies. Two apologies. The first one has to do with sound. My audio mixer is clearly acting up, so you may hear some background radio interference going on. I'm aware of it. I am aware of the fact that it probably needs to be either mega cleaned or mega replaced. So kindly hang in there. Hang in there as we try to figure out the best way to bring the best possible sound to the broadcast. And the second apology comes a little later on in the broadcast because it has to do with one of the things that we're discussing today in the news. Before we get started, as always, if you are new to the broadcasts, please let us know by writing the word new, and that way we will give you a proper welcome. And if you have some specific comments that you would like to bring up during the broadcast, it helps a great deal if you add the letter Q before your comment. That way we know that you are hoping to get a reaction from yours truly. And as always, we have all kinds of news. We have good news, bad news. We have interesting news. We have fun news. So we are going to just go ahead and get started with the news as always, and we'll take a look at our weather forecast, and we'll continue with your comments in the second half of the program. Let me click here and let me click here so that we can get started with the headlines. Governor Alfaro met with the Jalisco Health Board yesterday to discuss the development of the pandemic, the possible need to increase restrictions during the holiday season, and the potential impact of the new Omicron variant in the state. The good news is that there will be no additional restrictions introduced in the state for the remainder of the year, a testament to the favorable response the population has had to the vaccination campaigns primarily, but also to the prevention strategy that the state's health board has followed since its inception. The bad news, however, is that Governor Alfaro threw the spotlight at one municipality where COVID is on the rise, and that municipality is Puerto Vallarta. There has been a slight increase in active cases in our city, not enough to make changes, but enough to raise eyebrows. In his Facebook page yesterday, on his Facebook page, God was in a bad mood when she invented prepositions, I tell you. On his Facebook page yesterday afternoon, Governor Alfaro called on local authorities and population to continue following the sanitary mandates we already know and to avoid public gatherings and unnecessary celebrations. And of course, to be mindful of our personal responsibility as it relates to the health related mandates. Um, the next headline has to do with DIF workers going on strike. We're going to talk about DIF now, DIF. As you know, Desarrollo Integral de la Familia, or DIF, or the National System for Integral Family Development, is a Mexican public institution of social assistance that focuses on strengthening and developing the welfare of Mexican families. A few days ago, we announced that employees were grumbling because the new administration is expecting them to work 8 hours per day, as their contract stipulates, and not the 7 hours a day they have gotten used to working through time, a situation that previous government administrations were complacent with, but not the new administration. So the workers have threatened to go on strike then, and they are threatening to go on strike today, and apparently they are going on strike today. And here is a second apology moment. A couple of people, when I posted the announcement for this broadcast, a couple of people asked what DIF is, DIF. And as much as I'd like to translate every single acronym and pay individual attention to questions like this, you know, if you are a Puerto Vallarta English speaking local and you don't know what DIF stands for, then you're probably less of a local than you thought. And if your fingers are not able to go onto Google to just type three letters DIF to find out what DIF stands for on your own, you know, I really wish we could answer each one of these individual requests, but we also can appreciate a little bit of help from you guys to, you know, do some searches every now and then if you have specific questions such as that. Moving right along with our headlines and continuing with the DIF story, we wonder if it's the employees or the union leader, Cecilia Varela, who is making all the noise. Apparently, the union leader has taken some liberties with her authority, including adding 4 of her relatives to the organization's payroll, and she is the one behind the strike. Yesterday afternoon, DIF authorities went live on the organization's Facebook page to explain the situation, and apparently it's a minority of workers that are actually grumbling. DIF Director Roberto Ramos did say that while workers at strike will not be paid for the day, there will be no firings. Moving right along, if you think there's too many people out there in the tourist areas, well, according to Municipal Tourism Director Ludwig Estrada, Puerto Vallarta hotels are presently at 86% capacity. Flights are increasing in frequency and number of passengers, and by year's end, we will have welcomed 4 million visitors arriving by air only. If you add to that those arriving by land, well, everything seems to indicate that this holiday vacation season will be rather cozy. Successful for many, I'm sure, but definitely cozy. This is a good time to turn over to our weather forecast just to see what we can expect during the weekend. Don't let this sunshine brighten your day. You're about to get terrible news, says our snarky weather forecast. Today we are enjoying, or right now we are enjoying that temperature of 24 degrees. Feels like 27. Humidity is high, 92%. What the fuck? Who requested that? That's really high humidity. Our temperature in Fahrenheit degrees is 75. And what can we expect this weekend? Well, today will be obviously a humid and partly cloudy day with a high temperature of 31, low temperature of 19. Tomorrow, Saturday, it'll be humid and partly cloudy, high temperature of 30, low temperature of 20. And Sunday, it'll be again humid and mostly cloudy with a high temperature of 30 and a low temperature of 20. And now let us move on to the more leisurely stuff. What do we have for you today? Well, on a day like today, but in 1931, that would be 90 years ago, the first plane to ever land in Puerto Vallarta landed, piloted by a man from the United States called Charles Baham. Bung? Baugham. Mr. B, we're going to call him. According to official records, he flew over the city, startling locals, and landed right where Lázaro Cárdenas Park is presently located, making him the first person to ever arrive in Puerto Vallarta by air. Next, I want to tell you about something unexpected that happened last night. There's a little bit of a backstory to this before we actually get into that. As you know, we've been looking at more interviews and trying to schedule more interviews here at Coffee and Headlines, which also involves finding technology that makes it easier for the interviewee to go live. And last night we were testing that technology, and last night, without any kind of announcement or anything, Logan and I went live to have a nice conversation over shady cocktails. And shady cocktails, yes. Boom, boom. And quite unexpectedly, we talked about this, that, and the other, and we ended up hearing Logan's account on how he lost his wallet and also his immigration card. So how he had to replace it and go through the whole procedure. So if you were interested in that, watch last night. It was scattered, it was long, but within our little experiment, Logan told us a little bit of what his experience was like. And if you happened to tune in last night, we had a lot of fun. We were both drinking cocktails and talking about this, that, and the other. And more importantly, at least to me, his ability to connect as a guest was effortless. So I'm excited because thanks to this new technology, it's another investment that we've done. We are going to be able to feature interviewees more frequently. And of course, now we need to focus on replacing our audio mixer, but that's okay. These things happened. I also want to let you know, yesterday I received a beautiful phone call from Amy Armstrong and Fernando. Oh, my dear, what is Fernando's last name? I forget. I'm sorry, Fernando. But long story short, Amy and Fernando are planning, along with Brandon and James, other performers, a one-night only musical extravaganza at Teatro Vallarta, and they have invited me to be the master of ceremonies for the performance, something that I find very humbling, and it'll be a pleasure and an honor to support this concert and do whatever we can to make it a successful event. Why would we do that? Well, Amy and Fernando have been working so freaking hard during the whole pandemic, and they stand aside to on a different plane than other musicians that, for whatever reason, choose to perform with audio tracks behind them. Not Amy, not Fernando. I'm not saying that one is better than the other, but as a musician myself, I have stronger appreciation for, thank you, Karen, Fernando Gonzalez. I have a strong appreciation for musicians that go through the trouble to rehearse together and get along and work together and create performances that, by the nature of performing live, not to tracks, they are bringing in a new performance every time they perform. So I have a lot of appreciation for musicians that insist on accompanying themselves with other musicians and not with pre-recorded tracks. One night only will take place at Teatro Vallarta on December 30th at 8 p.m. It should be a really fun concert. And needless to say, between now and then, we will be featuring interviews as it becomes possible with the musicians so that we can learn more about what makes them tick, what kind of music we can expect, and how we can best enjoy this upcoming performance. Also, yesterday, a cluster member, Brad Walston, kindly sent me a note reminding me of the fact that there's also seasonal performances coming up by the Puerto Vallarta Gay Men's Chorus, of which he is a member. They will be performing at the Palm on December 14 and 16 at 6 p.m. There's a new artistic director, Adrian Fuentes, and that should be a very fun concert for those that enjoy male choral music. And last but not least, before we dive into our comments, as part of their 5 minute series, the New York Times compels us to love the biggest, loudest, most extravagant musical instrument of them all, the pipe organ, through the comments and opinions of renowned performers, composers, and music critics. As you know, we featured some of these 5 minute articles in the past where we hear recommendations about either specific musical instruments or about specific periods of music. So we will have all of this information available in the show notes. Let me very quickly take a look at your comments and see what everybody is up to today. Let's see. Claude. I know that Claude and Lucas have been busy becoming more and more local every day. And I'm so happy to see you, my friend. And I know that I'm going to get together with you guys next week. I'm looking forward to that. Michael, thank you very much for your remarks. And thank you very much for joining us last night. I am looking forward to having dinner at one of your restaurants tomorrow. I've made plans with some dear friends that are visiting from Tepic, so I'm excited. Karen says, love the live broadcast with you and Logan, or should I say Muffin? Well, you'd have to ask Logan about that. I call him Muffin because that's the way I refer to him. That's my term of endearment. He may or may not want to be called Muffin by other people, but again, you'd have to ask him. Let's see what else we have. Let me cough. Woo! I love my mute button. You wouldn't want to hear me cough. There you go. Oh, a nice report from Den. Thank you very much. Kathy's doing better, no fever, and other than feeling exhausted, which she tells me is because her body is busy building cells to fight the virus, things appear to be looking up. That is such good news. Thank you very much for sharing that, Dan, and thank you very much for staying with us during this difficult um, period. And please accept my good vibes, and I'm sure the good vibes of many of us here at Coffee and Headlines. Again, if you need anything, do let me know. Let's see, let's see, let's see. Da. Happy birthday to Barry. Hope you have an awesome day. Happy birthday, Barry. Happy birthday. Absolutely. Tony says sound is good so far. You know, Tony, I got my headphones out to try to adjust my compression and this, that, and the other. And I heard all this audio interference that just made me cringe. So I appreciate the feedback. Thank you very much. Logan says, Feliz cumpleaños, boo boo. Absolutely. Let's see. Jenny asks, what is the percentage of vaccinated people in Puerto Vallarta? Funny you should ask because I saw that number in one of the articles that I am referencing today. Uh, I will tell you in a second. Will I tell you in a second? Oh, there you go. Up until now, 81% of people in Jalisco have one dose. Uh, and the population is going to be the population group that has been most responsive to the vaccination campaigns has been the group between 18 and 29 years of age. You can find more details about all this and that in the article, which you will be able to read after you get the show notes. Let's see what else. Michael says, I sound like a parrot. What the fuck? I hope this has nothing to do with the mixer and it has more to do with the content because if I sound like a parrot, then my mixer is definitely acting up. um, Kate says, Muffin, too precious. Well, Logan is precious to me. He is, and I say this out loud in front of Logan and behind his back, he is the best friend anybody could hope for. I have many, many, many good friends, and they're all special for one reason or another. Logan has this amazing ability to make me laugh all the time. And that to me is ultra, 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 not ultra, ultra, ultra precious. There you go. Let's see, let's see. Cheryl shares love for Amy and Fernando. I am so excited. I am so excited for them. You know, booking Teatro Vallarta is not an easy task, as we kind of commented last night. Um, some of the local venues that we know, they have the infrastructure in place to a certain degree to make sure that you, as a performer, do okay. Teatro Vallarta is a different beast altogether. For starters, it is huge. It's not like you can fill it easily. It is expensive, and when it comes to promotion, you're pretty much on your own. So I bow in Amy and Fernando's general direction for taking this challenge and for bringing a concert full of musical joy to us during the holiday season. I am so excited. Let's see what else we have. Let's see. Oh, Michal has already purchased tickets for the show. This is groovy. Groovy. There's a question here from Karen. During the pandemic shutdown, my morning coffee with coffee and headlines and Amy and Fernando's Friday night live stream were my two forms of entertainment. It was like I was having friends visiting me. I thank you for this. Oh, Karen, that is such a precious statement. Thank you so very much. Um, if your coco in English is prepositions, mine in Spanish is géneros. They drive me crazy sometimes. Yes, gender must be difficult to handle in Spanish for people that are not used to it. Um, what can I tell you? All the languages have their challenges. Let's see. You are blessed to have so many friends. We are all blessed to have people in our life. It's really up to us to nurture those relationships, whatever they may be, and and because of that, and just as we're wrapping up uh, our broadcast with all this pandemic thing going on and blessed friends. Oh my God, this is going to be so confusing because I'm having a hard time putting this one in order because I'm improvising. Okay, so I've been mourning the passing of Stephen Sondheim all week. And oh my God, Colonia Friday. Fuck. Thank you, Julie. Oh my God, I totally forgot to turn it on and I forgot to announce it. And here I am thinking about the end of the broadcast. Oh my God, I do need more coffee. Of course, we have Colonia Friday. Whoops. Well, that was stupid. That was stupid. I can't believe this. Here I am getting ready for closing statements, and we have not even done this. Whoa, not good, Paco. Not good. Let me push a button here. Thank you so very much. Oh, thank you, Julie. Okay. I am so scattered some days. Today we are going to talk about Jardines de las Gaviotas, which is the neighborhood in turn. And of course, you probably remember that not even 2 weeks ago, we took the long route to get to La Comer to go shopping, and we walked Paseo del Marlin, and we walked Avenida Fluvial Vallarta. So we are not going to focus on this because we've talked about it briefly. What we're going to focus mostly is what is going on in here. Um, inside of this very residential colonia that is fascinating and mysterious for a number of reasons. Um, on the one hand, it is a colonia that has very, very strongly opposed any kind of vertical development. No condos here, no buildings. The colonia, both Gaviotas and Jardines de las Gaviotas have been completely against this, so it remains a traditional Mexican, not Mexican, a traditional residential neighborhood. And I say not Mexican because it's not necessarily Mexican or foreign, it's just a big fancy house neighborhood. But there are some contrasts. Let me show you what happened. Yesterday, I decided to walk around the edge of the colonia and then walk all the way to this rectangle, which is actually a park. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what I saw as I did this first stretch of the walk. The first thing that I saw is the back of Telmex's headquarters. So if one day we all decide to do something against Telmex because of their lovely, wonderful service, this is where we would be doing the mob scene. And then moving down that street, you get to the back of this piece of land that is clearly visible through Francisco Villa, right across from the public library. I mean, this must have been like a great clubhouse or something when the Colonia was first inaugurated. There's a children's playroom and there's an event playroom. There's even a swimming pool. You can see that in the photograph. But none of this is ever used. It is all maintained, but none of this is ever open to the public. I don't know if residents have to pay fees to maintain these pieces of this infrastructure, but it is there, and I've never ever seen it used. Next to this, there's a couple of tennis courts, beautiful tennis courts, but I don't know who has access to them or who maintains them or what the deal is with them. They don't look as though they're being used quite frequently, which is weird and unfortunate. But also on the street, you can find these huge, huge homes. And that's what I mean by traditional. I mean, these homes are from the time and the age when big families lived together and they expected to have big, big houses. And then I made it to this beautiful park, which is part of the neighborhood. This is a beautiful rectangular park. And around the park, you find more compact homes than the ones you find in the other side of the neighborhood. These are smaller. I know a couple of people that own houses in this general area. Then what I did is I continued my walk back, and then I walked through some of these little streets, which are also part of the Colonia. Maybe, and I say maybe because I happen to know from a friend of mine that is very well versed that this boundary shown by Google is may or may not necessarily be the actual boundary of the neighborhood. I don't know exactly. But what I found in this next part of my walk is more humble, smaller homes interspersed with some newer homes. As you can see, this one went up 1, 2, 3, 4 stories, but it's a private home. Next to it, a very basic, super narrow home. So this other side of the Colonia looks to be somewhat simpler than the other. A lot of cute little casitas, and at the end of one block, I did find a little coffee shop. This is pretty much the only business that I found within the Colonia, everything else being just homes. Now, here's a little bit of mystery. Right at that same intersection, I found this sign that says, "Welcome to Colonia Jardines Vallarta." Um, so when I came home, I Googled the neighborhood Jardines Vallarta, and there is no, well, the only Jardines Colonia in Puerto Vallarta, according to Google, is located elsewhere. So I don't know if this is an old sign or if Google is inaccurate. Again, there's a lot of mystery here that I wish I knew more of, but I don't know where to get information about this other than people that actually live here. And across the street, right behind that beautiful plant shop located along Avenida Fluvial Vallarta, Avenida Los Tules, I'm sorry, there's this huge piece of land with unfinished sidewalks. I don't know if this was going to become something. You can actually see the back of the tennis courts right over here. So this is what I saw walking along this colonia yesterday. Again, it's a neighborhood where if I was looking for a small home, I would definitely think about this neighborhood because you are one block away from large avenues and all sorts of businesses, restaurants, veterinarians, as we discovered when we walked down the main avenue just a couple of weeks ago. Next week, we get to tackle Emiliano Zapata, which will be interesting because personally, we don't necessarily have a lot of interest in diving into the touristy part of Emiliano Zapata. We're more interested in what goes on this other end, which is what's remaining of what used to be a very traditional neighborhood. And we'll get to that a week from today. And of course, this was our quick neighborhood profile. Thank you for reminding me about this. And Michael comments. Well, now let me take a look at your comments in this little section. Hold on just a minute. Ba-da-dee-ba-bee-ba-bum. Okay, we stopped here abruptly. I was talking about Stephen Sondheim, and my Stephen Sondheim comment is now not as relevant as it was before, so I'm going to keep it for some. Now, I'm going to tell you, I rediscovered an interesting lyric by Sondheim last night from one of his shows called Company, in which single Bobby is surrounded by his married friends, and Bobby doesn't quite understand the married life. And at the end of the show, he has kind of an epiphany and realizes that what he needs is human connection. He needs company. Um, and there's a great line in a song that he sings towards the end of the show that is a perfect reminder of how we should be treating each other through the pandemic. And the line is, keep a tender distance so we'll both be free. That's the way it ought to be. Safe distance, my friend. Safe distance and face masks is the way to go. Let me see. Concha y Toro made you forget about the Colonia. You know, Matthew, some days I'm surprised that I'm even awake. Ronald thinks it was the wine from last night. Quite possible. Um, um, it wasn't stupid. It was being a human being. Well, I know. Sometimes I use the S word and I shouldn't use the S word. Let's see what else we have. Uh, Paul comments, I've always wondered about that complex. It's quite nice. Odd it's not used. My thoughts exactly. Um, and then Michael mentions that this is the clubhouse for Gaviotas. It is part of the fees that we pay monthly. Well, Michael, with you living there, I wonder why is it that the neighborhood never uses it, or do you use it for special occasions? I mean, is the pool open to the public? I mean, how fun it would be to have a working pool near the house. Let's see what else we have. Dee da dee da 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 da. Jenny also wishes the park was open. I would love to swim in that pool. Well, that makes two of us. Um, Sondheim's lyrics are so sophisticated and brilliant. You're absolutely right, Raymond. So, Sondheim, I'm trying to get over Sondheim's passing, but all these tributes and things keep appearing. And of course, now the new movie West Side Story by Steven Spielberg has opened in the United States to very, very good reviews. I can't wait for it to get here to Puerto Vallarta. And this, my friends, now brings us to the end of our broadcast. If you've enjoyed yourselves, if you found information here that was useful, amusing, inspiring, or in any way entertaining, kindly remember that we are here thanks to our supporting members and thanks to those of you who choose to buy occasional coffee from time to time. And that makes this place tick, along with your wonderful comments, your suggestions, your questions. This is what makes this happen. And for that, we are completely grateful as usual. Tomorrow, we'll be back. Tomorrow's Saturday, our last broadcast of the week. And between now and then, or the next time we get together, please be mindful of those health-related mandates. There are a lot of people coming in and out of our city, and recovery from tourism is very important. But just as important is that we are the best ambassadors we can be, and the best ambassadors we can be for our city is to follow the guidelines. And we already know that because we're locals, right? Have a great day. I hope to see you soon, and stay in touch. Bye. Happy Friday.